Another record for the incredible Michael Schumacher, the first man to win the same Grand Prix 7 times. Next weekend, a reminder for it is the United States Grand Prix from Indianapolis. Our coverage will continue on ITV2. Coming up on ITV1 tonight, it is England-France, live from Lisbon. Enjoy. Good night from Montreal.
Welcome back then to ITV2 viewers. It's the end of the Italian national anthem.
Remember, Ralph said to me on the line, yeah, Michael's not going to be coming through. I'm not expecting to see him. I think he'll be a bit sour-faced and surprised to see his brother standing one step higher than him on the podium. And I'm not sure Michael expected to be cruising through quite that comfortably either. They certainly played it well today, James.
Chris Dyer there, the Australian engineer who talks to Michael Schumacher, sets his car up with him. What success they've enjoyed together. He collects the trophy, the Constructors' Trophy on behalf of Ferrari. Ralf Schumacher, another pot for his collection. Yet another podium for him. His 24th in Formula One racing. Perhaps not as many as some would think. It's his first podium, though, since France last year, and that was a monkey he wanted to get off his back. Speaking yesterday, he said, I can't believe it's a year since I've stood on a Formula One podium, and neither can we. Well, we didn't get an English victory here this afternoon in Montreal. Instead, we got a dominant victory for Michael Schumacher once the rest had fallen away. He makes history then with his 7th Grand Prix victory under the Canadian Grand Prix, and who knows, England versus France, maybe we'll get an England victory there.
Well, let's hope so, James. Our cricketers have managed it today, I understand. Just confirmation then of the result here. Michael Schumacher first in Canada. Oh, you've got to be called Schumacher to win here this century. Ralf Schumacher in second place, winner here in 2001, the pole sitter. Rubens Barrichello, who was so nifty in that Ferrari for a while, in third place. Jenson Button, the BAR, just lacking that little bit of pace, has to be content with fourth. Montoya, fifth. A very, very good weekend for Williams, exceeded their expectations, I would think. Fisichella is a Montreal specialist, and a super drive from him in the Sauber, as Martin Brundle has said. He's really pleased the way he's driving at the moment. Good strategy from Sauber as well. Kimi Räikkönen, how did he manage to score a couple of points? Just about everything imaginable happened to Kimi, but he still gets his couple of points. And Cristiano Da Matta with a single point for Toyota. If I'm right, they scored their first point here last season as well through Olivier Panis. The ladies' standings then, 8 rounds, 18 rounds in this, so we're going to have the halfway stage at Indianapolis next week. Michael Schumacher, what is he now? 18 points clear of Rubens Barrichello. Jenson Button 9 behind Barrichello. It'll drop back to Jarno Trulli. First failure of the season for Jarno Trulli, who's scored in every race so far. Then Montoya 28. Alonso close up on Montoya, just 3 points behind. Ralf Schumacher improving up to 20. That people keep telling me that Toyota deal will be announced very shortly. Takuma Sato 8 points, and Giancarlo Fisichella 8 as well. And in the constructors, exactly double. Ferrari twice as many as Renault, 122 and 61. BAR have 51. Williams 48. And Sauber have 13, McLaren 7, Toyota 5, Jaguar have 3, and Jordan have 2. Okay, Tony Jardine is with me, and we're going to talk in a little while. And actually, I've got a microphone down here, and I'll put it over because what's this guy called again? What's his name?
Jenson Button.
He's here. Jenson, well done. Thanks for dropping in to join us. Give us the story of the race from your point of view. Perhaps one or two people watching back at home might have expected you to finish a little bit higher than you actually did.
Well, so did we. You know, starting second on the grid, we thought we were looking quite strong. We thought that maybe the Renaults and the Ferraris were doing a two-stop, but we thought we'd be able to pull out a big enough gap to stay in front, but we didn't. And the car seemed to be very oversteer on the first stint. So we changed the wing level at the front, and it was a little bit better, but still, we just didn't have the pace today.
When did you realise that? Did you know right from the start, from the first lap, the pace wasn't there? Or
in the first stint, I knew immediately. I knew that we could change the car to help the oversteer slightly, but you know pretty much straight away that you're not going to be quick enough to win the race, and we weren't even quick enough to be on the podium here.
Yeah, sure. I know you were particularly worried about the Renaults. They didn't actually manage to challenge the Ferraris in the end, did they?
No, they didn't, and I actually saw Jarno alongside me at the start, just as he had his problem. I don't know what happened, but he disappeared.
It's down here. Take a look at it. He had big suspension problems at the start there.
That was pretty close, wasn't it? Well, I thought he was following me for the first stint, but it was obviously Alonso. But no, they seemed to be pretty quick in the first stint, the Renault. But after that, I didn't see him. I don't know what happened.
No, of course, and well, Trulli was out there, and then Alonso went later on with a failure too. Jenson, you know, we've gone through the agony of podiums and things, haven't you? Waited so long for that, and you must feel you're so close to a first win. Well,
I thought that until we came here. You know, we struggled here a lot, and it's difficult to understand why. We thought we'd be very strong here. We were quick in Imola, the same sort of circuit. So we've got to get back to the drawing board and see what we've done wrong this weekend,
Sure.
Because for the Williams to be quicker than us here was very unexpected.
And your teammate Takuma Sato had another of those spectacular blowouts. Can you throw any light on it? Why his engine should keep blowing and yours doesn't?
There has been a difference in our driving style, which could have caused some of the problems. But he was trying to change that. But yeah. I'm not sure if he
Here we go. Well, here's
forgot in the race.
Takuma. This is probably all news to you, this, isn't it? He had a spin there.
He said he was going to be more aggressive than normal, and I think he's done that.
And there goes the engine again.
I was right behind him when that happened.
Really?
And ours seemed to be the biggest blow-ups because there was a lot of smoke and we couldn't see anything. It was like Days of Thunder, just a bit like Imola.
You certainly know when those engines go, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Jenson, you haven't quite managed it, but our cricketers have won today, and hopefully the footballers will do the same.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to win. That'd be great.
Let's hope so.
Hopefully England can win something today.
You've done all right, Jenson.
Cheers.
Thanks very much indeed for dropping in to see us. Thank you. Okay, and when you return, Tony's been sitting there patiently hearing about the race, and Jenson will give his views on the Canadian Grand Prix.
A great drive, Michael. 1 second in at the end, 2 stops against 3 stops of Ralph.
Yeah, it sort of worked out to plan from our side. I can't judge whether our competitors had some problems which helped our situation, but we had a strong car for the race. We knew that from the beginning. We thought we had no chance for pole position, so we rather went for a strategy which worked for the race, and it just worked out fantastic. Pit stop was great. Engineers, mechanics, everybody just done a superb job. I mean, car preparation was fantastic. Although I have to say, my teammate Rubens, he just pushed me very, very hard, and I think he got the better deal of his car in his drive this weekend, and he was very strong in the second stint in particular. But we managed it. I mean, we managed it another time, and it's just fabulous.
Squeezed through the first corner as well from P6 on the grid, and a lot of pressure at one point from Juan Pablo Montoya as well as Rubens.
Yeah, there was pressure, but obviously due to the different strategies with Montoya, it sort of came tight, but there wasn't really a worry. Even though he would have overtaken me, I wouldn't have worried too much, honestly. He had a couple more laps then, and he would have gone in anyway, so there wasn't a big deal. With Rubens, obviously, it was a lot more critical. Had he overtaken me and pulled up a gap, although I had more fuel on board, stayed out longer, knowing that, who knows what would have worked out. We had a hard fight. It was very tight into the last corner. I just managed to keep in front.
Congratulations. Ralph, third time you Schumacher brothers have been on the podium here in Canada, and it was very, very close. Great to see the BMW Williams doing so well today and reliable.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was clearly better than expected, honestly, but still disappointing. I mean, if you start from pole and you finish half the race and then you finish second, is not what you wish to be. But I mean, still from where we came and the problems we had so far, I think to split up the Ferraris is a rather good success. But obviously, it's a clear sign that we still got some chances to be up front. It's just now down to really improve our package and start again to win races.
Well done. Rubens, as Michael said, you did push him very hard there.
No, it was a great race. It was fun fighting him. It was at the end of the day, he got a win for Ferrari. I think it was a good result. The only chance I had to beat him was or overtaking him on the racing track or going a little bit longer. And unfortunately, I had a little bit less fuel than him. And when I went out to the track again, I had a lot of fuel compared to him. And my brake pedal started to really go down. And I pushed like hell that outlap because I wanted desperate to get in front of him. And unfortunately, the brake just cooked at that lap, and I went straight into turn 8. And that I lost the second position as well because I might have been close to Ralph and may have a chance to overtake.
Do you think running close to Michael might have had some factor on the brakes?
Well, obviously I was running very close, and there was no time for the brakes to cool down. The point is, I think we enjoy ourselves very much. He got another win, and I wish I could have it. But it was a lot of fun out there, and I enjoyed myself.
He enjoyed himself, Tony. There were quite a few moments in that race when you looked, and he looked to be quicker than Michael Schumacher, and Michael Schumacher didn't let him go by.
Well, it is interesting because Rubens was actually running his spare car. They'd taken the engine out of his race car and put it into his spare because he damaged the chassis on Friday. He was working that hard. He was trying to find a new way over the curbs, new lines, anything. He said, I must contribute more this weekend. And you knew that he wanted to challenge Michael Schumacher, but I'm sure he wasn't allowed to. I bet that radio was buzzing inside his helmet saying, you stay behind Michael Schumacher, Rubens.
They were on different strategies, to be fair, to Ferrari, but he blew away Kimi Raikkonen, who had all sorts of problems in the early on, Rubens Barrichello, showing how feisty he was.
Kimi, for me, I agree with James. He is my man of the race, Kimi Raikkonen, because of the grit and the perseverance. And here, everyone knows that until they sort this Mercedes engines out, that it's slow, it's not doing the business down the straight. And there was Rubens Barrichello just blasting past, making it look very easy indeed.
It was a shame from a spectacle point of view that the Renault challenge never really materialised. We spoke to Jenson a moment ago about what happened to Jarno Trulli right at the start of the grid, and just as Alonso was starting to get a head of steam on, he had to pull out, and there were problems for him in the pit as well, weren't there?
Yeah, they were very clearly the dark horses because they got a revamp in the power and the Renault engine here from Rob White and his people. This was the big problem, being stationary for so long with the nozzle not going on and having to take the spare nozzle as well. This team are extremely well drilled. It isn't a problem with the team, it's an equipment problem, and that equipment is common to all, the Intertechnique equipment. That dropped him right back, and yet Fernando had come back up to 4th place. He'd really been putting in some stonking laps just to go out like that, and it was a great shame because they were looking good for the podium.
You think they could have threatened Ferrari, because Jenson right at the start, he was saying how worried he was about the Renaults?
I'll tell you why I think so, Jim, is because A, they're kind to the tyres, B, they've got the new engine which is giving them a lot of power here, and C, with someone like Alonso behind the wheel, you could see the sort of lap times that he was putting in, and they were the dark horse for quite a few people. I think Martin was also saying, watch out for Renault here.
You spent a lot of years down in the pits, and you're always telling me how dangerous it is down there. Another indication today, you wouldn't have wanted to be around the Jordan pit when this happened involving Nick Heidfeld's car.
No, you wouldn't want to at all. And in fact, you've got Nick Burrows, you've got Tim Edwards, the team manager, Gerard O'Reilly, very experienced Jordan players down there. And unfortunately, Nick Gom, who's the spares coordinator, you can just see him getting pushed to the ground there. I want to assure everybody at home that we've been told by Louise that he is okay. He was knocked over by the side pod there. Tim Edwards, the team manager, will be looking very carefully at the coordination and what happened, because my job was to be in charge. I was in charge of the pit crew, and you could not let that car go until everybody had finished their work. That's how dangerous it can be, and he's very lucky he wasn't hurt. Yeah, I'm delighted he's okay. Just going back to the Ferraris, first of all, your assessment on Michael Schumacher before we see anything about him and Barrichello. This is, a tough victory for him, wasn't he? He really had to work for this one. I would say for the 35-year-old, this is one of his most brilliant victories. As you say, just because of the work rate that he's put in. They knew from Friday, when the other Michelin runners were that fast and the Michelin tyres were so quick over the early laps, they switched their strategy. They thought, we're going to have to focus on this race, and that's why Michael went out and worked and worked and worked. But You've seen him drive like you've never seen him drive before. Absolutely on the limit, right, absolutely there, and he deserves this victory.
Rubens is having a really good season, and do you think, as we look at the interplay between him and Michael Schumacher, that this might be one that down the line Michael Schumacher will say, well, I might just owe him one for Canada?
Yeah, but you know, that's not the way to go. I hate that business of one, I owe him one. I believe that what Sir Frank Williams said is he begged the Ferrari drivers literally to say, look, stop the team orders nonsense, let them race like we do at Williams, like we do at McLaren. This is a protest by Rubens Barrichello, showing his nose each time at 180 miles per hour. I'm here, and if you haven't seen me, your mirrors are full of red, Michael. Let me go, let me have a crack. He was very strong in that second stint.
Okay, you want to know exactly what was going on in the Ferrari garage? This is the man to tell us. It's Ross Brawn.
Ross, did Michael need to back off as much as he did?
No, there was no problem, but you know, our style is to win by the minimum necessary, and yeah, you never know when things are going to go wrong at the end, and we'd push the engines hard during the middle of the race when it was important, and we wanted to give it a rest at the end, so there was no problems, it was just strategy. And
did you think Rubens would overtake Michael in the middle of the race?
Well, we didn't stop him. Yeah, he had less fuel than Michael at that stage, and it would have been interesting if he had got past, because you know, he had 3 laps less fuel, I think, than Michael. It would have been interesting to see what happened to the pit stops. But I need to analyse the race properly, because we thought at that stage Rubens could still hold his position against Ralph, and I know he had a little off, and I'm not sure how much time that cost him, but we were disappointed that he came out behind Ralph, because our numbers told us we might do it, but we shouldn't be too greedy.
Well done, Ross.
I think that's just confirming what Ted Kravitz said there during the race, that Ferrari certainly did not stop Rubens Barrichello from overtaking Michael Schumacher. Felipe Massa, the Brazilian, has dreams of a job at Ferrari one day. A really rude awakening for Felipe here, and a pretty nasty-looking crash, Tony.
It's a big crash. It's a huge impact, and remember, he had a huge impact in Monte Carlo. But he has gone to hospital, a local hospital in Canada, and he's got a sore elbow, 1 or 2 other things. It's a big hit. Now, the point is, Jim, we're speculating on what happened there. You've got some big, high curbs here, just like Imola. In fact, the track is very similar to Imola, but the drivers are not able to attack the curbs the same as they are Imola. They have to be that little bit more careful. And we've had suspension failures, and we suspect it is because of the way they clatter over the big curbs. And if you go out to turn 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 at the back, and you see them coming off the curb, it is absolutely frightening. And the speed they reach here between the concrete walls is also very frightening. Not a great deal of runoff area. We have to remember this is a semi-street circuit,
right,
and you know, that's the result of one of those big crashes. Brakes at a premium as well. He may have had brake failure leading to that.
Okay, and he has been taken to hospital as Felipe Massa. We understand it's only for a precautionary checkup. I think he's going to be okay for the United States Grand Prix next weekend at Indianapolis. His teammate Giancarlo Fisichella, he's a bit of a Montreal specialist. He had a super race here today. Let's hear what he has got to say about it.
Congratulations, Giancarlo, in the points again. This is getting to be a bit of a habit, but a very nice habit.
Yeah, we did a fantastic job, apart from the start where I had a problem and I lost lots of position. Yeah, I did a good race, very consistent. Just before the pit stop I was pushing like a qualifying session, and for that I overtook the 2 Toyotas. So we have to be happy, apart from the problem to Felipe. We don't know what happened to him, but the most important thing is he's fine. We talk with him.
Yeah, he is fine. Just a few precautionary checks, we said, for Felipe Massa. Sauber running on pretty strong at the midway stage of the season.
They started off the season very poorly, and they have a car which is very similar to last year's Ferrari. They have the Ferrari engine, no updates on the Ferrari engine, but they're now being able to test, they're now being able to use their new wind tunnel, and they're starting to score points. And Giancarlo is very, very happy, but he's still the target of teams like Williams. He's on the list of Williams. Sure. Peter Sauber has advised him and said, look, stick with us, kiddie, you'll be all right, because you've got a chance of a Ferrari drive if you stay with Sauber.
Next week, when we go to Indianapolis, we stand by for an invasion of Colombian fans supporting Juan Pablo Montoya. Montoya finishing in the points here today in 5th place. Here he is with Lou.
Juan Pablo, were you chasing Jenson hard at the end there, but settled for 5th?
No, there's nothing. You know, it was too equal. My lowest, my weakest point was traction all day. So anywhere I would get close, even with Michael, as soon as we put the power down, I would lose 2-3 car lengths. Then all the way around the lap until I get to another slow corner and then lose it again. So it was fun, you know. We tried pretty hard. You know, yesterday I made a mistake in qualifying and I was in the middle of the pack. I couldn't do anything else.
On the whole, though, you pleased with the way that the weekend's gone? The team does seem to be a bit more competitive.
Yeah, here it seems to be pretty good, and that's quite encouraging in going into the next race. That is pretty similar.
He is heading for McLaren next season. Kimi Räikkönen somehow finishing in the points today. Let's get a view from the McLaren team boss, Ron Dennis.
Well, Ron, an eventful day for Kimi. 5 pit stops indeed, and still finished 7th.
Yes, afraid we had a small electrical fault which was manifesting itself in the steering wheel. We're not sure of the cause, but it kept failing elements of the steering wheel, so we kept changing the steering wheel, but only cost us a place. Even with the drive-through, it still only cost us a place, but most important thing is we finished, and now we can sort of get a bit more focused on not only finishing but getting better results.
Because there was actual pace. Kimi had pace, true pace today.
David, not the best of starts for you.
No, my start was okay, but turn 2 it's always a bit difficult, and one of the Jaguars, I think it may have been Calvin, ran in the back of me. I think it's very difficult to see what's going on behind you, but I definitely got spun round from behind.
So problems right from the start of the race. I mean, were you playing catch up from then on?
Yeah, I was pretty much at the back of the field, I think. So on a 3-stop strategy from the back, you're always going to be in a bit of trouble.
That new motor cannot come quickly enough for everybody at McLaren. Just sum it up for us, Tony, the Canadian Grand Prix.
Well, absolutely brilliant performance from Ferrari against the odds, but I'm afraid the opposition blew it and they've got to go back to the drawing board. They've got another chance at Indianapolis, which is low downforce, high on power. Let's see if they can crack it in Indianapolis in a week's time.
Okay, Tony, thank you very much. You need a reminder that you can see highlights of the Canadian Grand Prix on ITV1, across on ITV1 11:45 tonight. The show repeated here on ITV2 at 5 tomorrow evening. Stay in North America at Indianapolis, qualifying coverage midnight on the Saturday, extensive pre-race show ITV1 from 5 on Sunday, highlights at midnight. He had to work hard, but he has won it once again. Michael Schumacher remains le boss. Good night.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by the Daily Telegraph is itv.com/F1.